Today is the greatest day ever. And do you know why today's the greatest day ever? It's very simple, really. It's the greatest day ever because I decided today is the greatest day ever. It's that simple. You want to make your life great? You want to make every day feel incredible? You make the decision. And our brain is drawn towards the things that we decide to look for. The things we decide, that are going to be important. We place these programmings in our mind, and then our brain will search them out. Our brain will search for reasons to confirm our bias, to confirm, what we're believing, to confirm or look for things that we deem are important. It's called the reticulated activated system. Now, the perfect example of this is always, have you ever decided that you're going to buy a new car? And you're like, I like, whatever it might be, a Suzuki Swift in bright yellow. I use that as an example because that was my wife's first car. That was her dream car when we were younger, and that's what she had. Anyway, you decide that this is the car for you, and you don't see them anywhere. You're like, that's unique, that's fucking awesome, I love it. That's what I'm gonna get, right? So you go through the process and you buy the car, and then suddenly you see that motherfucker everywhere. It is literally everywhere. Every time you turn a corner, there is a bright yellow Suzuki Swift. And you're like, did everybody have the same idea as me? Did everybody decide that this was the car? No. It was purely that your brain was filtering out useless information. Our brain goes through these things, and we have millions and millions of bits of data thrown at us all the time. Everywhere we look, in everything we do, when we're driving, when we're walking, when we're talking to people, when we're out about, when we're watching TV, whatever we're doing, there are all this information just being bombarded at us. And our brain needs to filter out what's important, because otherwise we'd spend our whole time just filtering what was being thrown at us. We wouldn't have the ability to think. We wouldn't have the ability to adjust. We wouldn't be able to process information and make decisions on it. So it makes a snap judgment decision based on what it feels is important to you. And you filter it out. It's the same with what choices we make and all that kind of stuff. The majority of choices, potentially up to 95% of the choices we make throughout the day, are subconscious programming. There is no thought process involved in it. It's just habitual, down to the way we go home, the hand we brush our teeth with or eat our food, the way we put our clothes on, what order we do, like all those kinds of things. Because, why would you need to think about them? They are trivial things that don't impact your day. And yet, these simple choices then do impact our lives and impact our days and our realities and all this kind of stuff. Because, as we talk about all the time, the tree falls the way it leans. So if you're currently set in a reality that you aren't happy with, you might need to actually start taking some cognizant control of the choices that you make, those subconscious programmings that are just happening in the background. Because they could be the ones that are dictating you and keeping you stuck in the reality that you are. That, you're too far down decision pathways before you realize that you don't want to do this. That this isn't a choice that you want to make. And then you have to use immense willpower to slam on the brakes, pull that back, and then change course. And as we've discussed before, willpower burns out, it runs out. It can be revitalized and regained and built upon and all those kinds of things. But especially if you're heading towards the end of the day, if you've been on subconscious programming and if you've used up all your willpower, then you get to the end of the day and then you're like, oh shit, I don't have anything left to make this course correction. I've stepped into this habitual moment, and here we are again. So you need to learn how to reprogram that subconscious mind. It's why one of the things you can do, there's a couple of options you can have when we talk about reprogramming the habits that are built into it. One, if you're trying to add a new habit, you can tack it on to a heavily ingrained previous habit. So, it's like if you have a coffee every morning, while that's brewing, you go put on your workout gear and then you take that coffee to the gym or something like that. So then you're attaching to it. You're not building from scratch. You're just adding on to a previously established pattern and adding something new. There is less willpower and cognitive demand to make that change. So you just add it on. It's from Atomic Habits. It's a great fucking book on that kind of stuff. So it gives you the opportunity to try and use less willpower to make a big change. The other one is you can change the environment. So you can change how things are structured. So if you know that when you get home at night, you go to the cupboard and you eat snacks, or you eat a bag of chips, or you have a beer, or whatever the fuck it is. One, the first thing to do would be remove those things so they aren't even an option, so you can't default into that mode. But two, rearrange where you store those things in the kitchen. Rearrange where you, like if you have the capacity, change your bedroom setup, change your kitchen setup, change these area setups so that that habitual moment that's attached to something else becomes a different one, becomes a different setup, so you're not falling into the habit, and the novelty of the new setup will change the way your brain wires into that thing. I recently did it with my office. I wasn't happy with the habitual rituals that I was coming home to. That I would come home and I'd doom scroll, I'd waste time on the computer. And I started associating that when I sat down at my desk in that position, then that's what I did. I sat down, checked my email, checked my Facebook, checked my Instagram, checked all these things. Oh, lo and behold, I've wasted a fucking hour. And especially in my life, that time is precious. Like, I don't have a lot of time on that. I need to make sure I utilize that time really, really effectively. Because between running the gym, my kids, my wife, my workouts, there is a small window, a small snapshot of time that I have to get all the other shit done, that I have to build this business out. So I need to make sure that I'm using that time effectively. So I completely rearranged my office. I moved where I sat, I moved the setup, I moved all that kind of stuff. And so now there is a different habitual setup when I sit down at my office. I sit down at my desk, there is a new, novel moment, and it feels new and exciting. And then I anchored that with doing other things. And now I have that rule. Then I am not allowed to do those activities in my office. So if I want to do them, I have to go somewhere else. I have to physically leave my office. And now my office is for work only. I reckon the same thing applies to things like sleep and stuff. You shouldn't watch TV in your bedroom. You shouldn't be on your phone in your bedroom. It should be for sleep and sex. That's it. Because you need to associate going to bed with either having sex, which then releases dopamine, calms you down, and often makes you go to sleep. We all know that. And or just going to sleep. That's what the association of bedtime should be. It should not be dopamine chasing. It should not be a stimulation through TV or whatever the fuck that is. It should just be straight, I'm going to bed, end of story. That will deliver you much better results. So you change the association with that. But the same is also true with how you choose to start your day. As I said at the beginning, today's the greatest day ever. And the simple reason is because I fucking decided it was. That's it. That's the reason. Because I decided today is the greatest day ever. And you can make those decisions that when you start the day, you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is like, oh, today's going to be a great fucking day. And you keep kind of saying these things to yourself. And then your brain will start looking for things to align with that. Your brain will start looking for little things around it to agree with you though. And it applies to all things. You can do it to everything you do. I'm the luckiest man alive. Cool. Your brain will start looking for things to confirm this bias that you are the luckiest man alive. Or, the reverse is also true. When people say things like, oh, that's just my luck that everything went wrong. Well, yeah, if that's the way you view it, it's going to happen that way. If that's the way you think everything's going to go, your brain's going to look for confirmation of that fact. That, things always go wrong for you. Things always fuck up, blow up, destroy. Nothing ever works out for you. If that's your attitude, your brain will look for confirmation for it, or push you into subconscious patterning to confirm your bias. Because your brain doesn't want to make you a liar. It wants to confirm that you're correct. It wants you to be right. So it's going to find answers for you to be right. It's going to find ways for you to be correct. So it's really, really important that the voice in your head, the words you use to describe yourself, the way you talk about yourself, is in a positive manner. Because your brain is going to confirm that. The person you spend the most time with is yourself. Maybe it'd just be a good idea to start talking nicely to yourself. Because, well, you're the person you spend the most time with. I don't know about you, but if the person I spent the most time with was a dick to me, I wouldn't really want to spend that much time with them. And yet, that's the reality of it. That's how we talk about ourselves. That's how we talk to ourselves. You're such a fuck up. Oh, everything goes wrong. Of course it didn't work. It's you. These words are ingrained into us, and thus our reality shifts that way. Whereas if you start going, well, today's the greatest day ever. As I said, your brain will find things. And they might be small and they might seem insignificant, but it'll find things to corroborate your story, to confirm that that is, in fact, the case. And the same goes for things like, I'm a fit man. Cool, it'll start looking for, and I get the irony of coughing right after that, but it'll look for ways to confirm that bias for you. It'll look for you to create opportunities to go, well, yeah, I did. I worked out today. Yeah, I stuck to, my animal-based diet. I did all those kinds of things. Confirming that bias for you to keep reaffirming that you are that man. I'm a fit man. I'm a driven man. I'm a disciplined man. And this is also part of, the concept of fake it till you make it. As we've discussed before, I don't like the term fake it till you make it. I prefer act as if. So if you start acting as if you are the most disciplined man, the most fit man, the most driven man, whatever it might be, the greatest version of yourself, these kinds of things, and you act as if, and you keep telling yourself these things, your brain will be like, okay, well, let's find proof of this. Let's find proof of this narrative. Let's find evidence that you are these things. And then it'll present opportunities, and your brain will go, oh, yeah, I am the most disciplined man. I am not going to go sit on the couch and drink the beer. I'm going to go sit and do the work. Or I have the choice to either go out in the rain and do my weighted walk, or just cool my heels at home. Well, I'm going to go do the walk because I said I was going to fucking do it. These choices then arise, and you'll find that there are all these micro choices along the day, and your brain will start going, oh, well, I'm a fit, disciplined man, therefore I should make the choice of X, or I should make the choice of Y, and do these kinds of things. And it'll just keep backing it up. It'll keep reaffirming it. And this is how you act as if. And then sooner rather than later, you wake up and lo and behold, you are that man. You are that version of yourself. You are the version who gets shit done. You are the version who makes the right choices, who chooses fitness and health and discipline over cheap dopamine chasing. Now the catch on this is, and this is where a lot of people get caught, is that once you've done it, you can't actually take your foot off the gas. And it is a hard one. I think it is a hard reality of life that you have to keep choosing the disciplined path. You have to keep choosing being the greatest version of yourself. There is this notion with all this stuff, and it's where yo-yo dieting and all this kind of stuff comes from, is that once you've established it, then you're good. No, you have to keep choosing this path over and over and over again. And look, the longer you get into it, there are more likelihood that there will be slip-ups because, well, there will still just be days where shit happens. But as long as you revert back to the baseline of being a strong, disciplined man, then things will continue to improve. Things will continue to keep pushing forward. And that's the part that matters. That's the part that pushes you towards being the greatest version of yourself. And you must make those decisions. Like the one I always come back to on this is people like, oh, it must be really easy for you because you're just disciplined. And I'm like, it's not. I still have to make these decisions every single day. I have to make a conscious, cognitive decision to do the stuff that is required every single day because this doesn't come easy. Like I've said a million times, but I firmly and honestly believe it, that if I didn't choose this, if I didn't choose the path of health and fitness and go down this line, I would be potentially dead. If we're being super honest, there's a good probability I'd be dead. But at bare minimum, I'd be an obese, alcoholic, potentially drug addict. I love that stuff. I love alcohol. I love fucking food. I love watching TV. I love playing video games. My wife is a pastry chef. I have wine fridges and wine racks in my house. I have a bar set up. I love making cocktails. All this kind of stuff. It is not because I do not enjoy it. It's not that I don't understand the draw and the appeal of it. It's not that I don't want to participate in those things. It's that my values are higher than those dopamine chasing things. I want to live to be 120. I want to live for as long as humanly fucking possible. I want to be there to see my grandkids and my great-grandkids and my great-great-grandkids. I want to live for as many generations as it's possible to be a part of. I am not in this for the short term. I am not in this to dopamine chase. I am in this to be the best version of myself, the greatest version of myself for as long as humanly possible. So I make choices that are hard. I make choices that often I don't want to make because it's the right fucking choice. I choose discipline and growth and those kinds of things over easy dopamine chasing. It doesn't mean that I don't want those things. It doesn't mean that there are days where I struggle with these decisions, where I have battles and the internal dialogue is so great about, what's one beer? What's one wine? What's one blowout? Because the answer is it's never just one. The answer is it's never just that one thing. It's always more than that. And this life is bigger than me. And that's the honest to God truth. That this isn't about me, it is about my kids and my wife and my family and those who I care about and those lives that I get to impact through the choices I make. That's why I do this. And so yeah, there are days where it sucks, but I get to control the narrative. So I control the narrative by reinforcing those thoughts, activating my reticulated activated system to look for the things that reinforce that my life is fucking fantastic, that my life is great because of the choices that I make. That every time I make the right choices, that everything in my life gets better. So I get to keep reiterating that to myself. And you can too. So if you are ready to start chasing your greatness, to step into being the greatest version of yourself, shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness daily now. Now, if you're not quite there yet, Click the link in my bio, grab my top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, as always, if this spoke to you, if you enjoyed it, if you know someone who needs to hear this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. But most importantly, hit that subscribe button, because like everything in chasing greatness daily, I am here every single day, leading from the front, leading from my experiences, leading as I go through this, and sharing that journey. So I'll be back again tomorrow, and I don't want you to miss that. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you then.